Well, it's not too often the city of Paterson, New Jersey gets discussed at the U.S. Supreme Court, but that's exactly what's happening. As the High Court decides former officer Jeffrey Hefferman's case, Heffernan says that he was demoted as political payback because he allegedly supported a certain mayoral candidate. He was spotted with a lawn sign for an opposition candidate, but he says he was just giving his mother the sign as hers was stolen. Now, this has become a First Amendment case. Can a government take action against an employee for a political position, even if it was a misunderstanding? I'm going to get into the misunderstanding part in a second with Jimmy, but with you guys, listen, there are certain things you kind of have to subdue if you are a public official. Judges aren't to be taking political positions is to at least give the appearance of impartiality on the bench here. Police officers, or you know, you're not supposed to be going out there giving political positions on guns or whatever else. But when it comes to politics and your right to cast a vote, when you have a uniform on, is it black and white as to whether or not you can support a position? Cops protest mayors all the time in this city here. They've turned their backs at funerals here. They've accosted them over pay hikes and the rest. Now, we have statute that says you can't imperil safety, but at the same time, do you void your First Amendment rights because you put a certain uniform on?
I would say no, but again, you got to look at, you know, to what extent, you know, was the speech, right? And I think here he's making the point that, look, I put a sign up, I wasn't really making speech. And so the question is, by moving that sign, by touching that sign, was it actually speech? I think not.
He's saying it wasn't speech. He's saying I was doing my mother a favor. I wasn't making a statement. So the argument before the Supreme Court, it was great because, and they're divided. The question is, if the plaintiff is not asserting a First Amendment issue, can his boss have violated his unasserted First Amendment rights by demoting him? So I think what it comes down to is, regardless of what he was doing, you cannot be discriminated against on First Amendment grounds. So regardless of what he said or didn't say, if it can be shown that he was demoted or fired because they thought he was asserting a First Amendment privilege or he was making a First Amendment claim, then I think they have a problem. But it is a very bizarre case because
it is bizarre. But if a cop walking the beat says Trump for president, Trump for president, Trump for president, forget about the propriety of it. Should he be able to do that?
Well, Rich, there's code of conduct for a lot of different professions, things that you agree to do. You know, he may have a right, a First Amendment right. Your constitutional rights probably trump most anything else we have, laws. I mean, that's a final thing. But you have a guy, and if you look at this fact pattern closely, a guy who's moving an electric sign, and then he claims that he's moving it for his mother. It sounds to me like he's probably a guy that's not following the rules of the police department in Paterson, New Jersey. That's what it sounds like to me. So he gets demoted, surprise, surprise. It gets framed as a First Amendment question, but it's not a First Amendment question. It's probably a code of conduct question.
But you know what? We had on a police chief up in the Valley who, after yet another mass shooting, said, you know what? I think people, if they got a concealed carry permit, pack heat. You should be part of the front lines. Now forget it. I think that's idiotic. That's not the point. He's, in effect, making a position of policy on this, okay? He wasn't demoted or anything else. What if he extended it further to say, you know what, like Sheriff Arpaio, somebody looks a little funny to you, go over and make them show you their papers or whatever else. Forget that the four of us think that's crazy. How much leeway really is there in terms about people saying, I have a First Amendment right just because I wear a badge or I wear a robe here? I shouldn't expect to not be a participating member of society. Is the only difference if they got the badge on or if they're wearing jeans and a T-shirt? I mean, where's that line? And where is that? Is it, as he says, departmental procedures, what you can and can't say?
Yeah.
Or is it something more than that?
Well, remember, we need people to stay political, you know, in these positions of power like this. And there's a slippery slope as to really, when they get to speak and when they can't. So what is speech and what's not? But, I think without it, you're going to have a real big mess. So.
And you can't violate the law
Yep.
with your speech. An officer who's saying if somebody just looks funny, go and stop them, well, that's against the law.
And
so
by the way,
you don't have a First
that's
Amendment
your
right to do
Chief
that.
Arpaio, our good friend down in Arizona. Jimmy, Doug, Christopher, guys, thank you all very much. I think we covered quite a bit this hour. All right, stay with us. We got some headlines as well on the other side of the break.